Welcome back. Thanks for staying with In Your Interest. It all began with demand for fair wages that quickly turned into fire on the streets of Noida, Faridabad, the nearby vicinity as well. And the pictures will tell you that this is a breakdown of law and order, but a fine print will tell you that these are voices and sounds of dissent of long ignored workers that are finally now pushing back. What's right? Well, you take a call for yourselves. The industrial hub of Noida, it turned into a battleground today. What started as a demand for fair pay has escalated into a day of complete chaos, of arson, of violent clashes. And across Noida Phase 2 and sectors 59 to 62, thousands of garment and factory workers took to the streets today, leaving a trail of smashed windows, burnt vehicles in their wake. The police have responded with heavy force, deploying the RAF and the PAC to regain control. But the tensions remain palpable. Traffic came to a complete standstill on the D&D flyway, the NH9, the Delhi-Noida borders, leaving thousands of commuters stuck for hours. Some of my colleagues, some of my friends, they were made to turn back home because their cars were being unprotected on the streets. And the protest did not stop at Noida. Similar unrest was also seen spread across the NCR from Gurugram and Manesar to Faridabad and Bhiwadi. And this isn't just a local law and order issue anymore. It's a full-blown crisis of inequality. The trigger for this anger is clear as well. Haryana recently announced a 35% wage hike for workers. In Haryana, an unskilled worker now earns around 19,000 rupees a month. But in Uttar Pradesh, the same worker gets only about 13,000 rupees for doing the exact same job. And this massive disparity has become a flashpoint for laborers who are already struggling with the skyrocketing cost of living. They aren't just asking for more money. They're demanding parity. They're demanding dignity, the basic rights promised to them by law. And many also complain about delayed payments, missing bonuses, poor working conditions, you name it. The list goes on and on. They say they want dignity, they want job security and safety at the workplace, especially for women. The Uttar Pradesh government has taken the situation seriously, needless to say. The district magistrate has ordered factories to pay double overtime, clear salaries by the 10th of every month, and stop any kind of harassment. A high-level committee has been formed to hold talks with all the sides. The chief minister has called these protests a conspiracy and said a special investigation team is going to be monitoring the situation. FIRs have also been registered against those spreading rumors, and on the ground, the law is very clear. Labor rules already say salaries must be paid on time, overtime should be doubled, and workers must get weekly offs. But the reality inside many of these factories is quite different. Stark contrast. Most workers are on contract, which makes them easier to exploit. Delayed salaries, no pay slips, and unpaid overtime. These are common complaints. Labor inspections are rare, and enforcement remains weak.
मिला जहां तमाम गाड़ियां जला दी गई हैं और पुलिस को भी भागना पड़ गया वहां से। सुनने में आ रहा है कि पुलिस की गाड़ी भी पलटा दी गई है। बड़े पैमाने पे मजदूर अपनी मांग पहले से करते रहे हैं। पूरी जिम्मेदारी प्रशासन की है, सरकार की है, और सरकार की इसमें कमी ये है कि जब मजदूर अपनी मांग को लेकर के आए तो सरकार ने सुनवाई क्यों नहीं की। कोर्ट से लेकर के या अन्य प्रदेशों में भी मजदूरों का जब वेतन बढ़ गया, मजदूरों को राहत दी इस महंगाई में, तो उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार पीछे क्यों?
श्रमिक जो अपना घर चलाने के लिए मेहनत कर रहा है, वो मजबूरी में सड़कों पे आता है। उसके पास इतना समय नहीं कि वो बेमतलब के लिए सड़कों पे आ जाए। मुख्यमंत्री जी ने 24 घंटे का समय दिया, उस समय अवधि में पूरा नहीं हुआ। किस तरह की परिस्थितियां रही, पुलिस ने किस तरह कार्रवाई की, उनके घरों के क्या हालात हैं, वो क्या महसूस कर रहे हैं, इन सब चीजों को ध्यान में रखते मैं कहूंगा कि मुख्यमंत्री जी को उनकी मांग माननी चाहिए।
मैंने सुना है कुछ कर्मचारी वेतन वृद्धि की मांग को लेकर के प्रदर्शन कर रहे थे। बात करके समाधान निकाला जाएगा।
बात करके समाधान निकाला जाएगा. Like I told you, the pictures tell you a different aspect altogether, and the fine print is going to be absolutely different. The big questions that we're trying to decode on the show, esteemed set of panelists with me on the broadcast: how can two workers performing the same industrial task in the same metropolitan region, the NCR, have a wage difference of nearly 35% just because of a state border? If labor laws already mandate double overtime and timely pay, why is it taking a violent protest for the administration to demand these rules to be followed? Has the excessive use of contract labor created a shadow workforce that has no access to grievance redressal, eventually leading to such outbursts of anger? With me on the broadcast, Ranjan Dwivedi, former DGP Uttar Pradesh, many thanks for taking out the time, sir. And Sanjay Chadha, advocate, labor law. DGP Dwivedi, who failed first, sir, today? Was it the system? Was it the companies? Was it the administration? We've seen stone pelting, we've seen arson, chaos. From your experience, how quickly can legitimate protests spiral into violence? What are some of those early signs? What's your assessment and reading, sir?
Yeah, Kabir, firstly, it's extremely unfortunate that this kind of a thing has happened.
Yeah.
Because you see, one very important factor for drawing investment in the state is industrial peace. And if industrial peace is not there, investment is very hesitant to come to that state or come to that area.
Fair enough.
This is going to be a major shock, number one. Secondly, as you also mentioned, that laborers are very hard pressed and they are basically involved in bringing up their families, and ordinarily they would not come on the road to protest like this. Now tell me something. All these pictures been taken and all these faces that have been photographed, tell me which employer will employ these people. And in fact, if they were also already employed, then disciplinary action might be taken against them. Cases will be registered. After all, arson, that if it takes place and even a police vehicle is turned like this, so it's not no small affair. And what people must really understand is that if you create pressure like this, you're only harming your case. Because if industry today bows down to this kind of a protest and violence, then obviously this will become the norm.
Yeah.
So a tough stand will probably have to be taken by industry and by the government to ensure that strict action is taken against the people who perpetrated this, number one. But at the same time, if in case there are inequalities, then they should be addressed. But you see, here again, if in India, it ranges, the minimum wages for unskilled labor, they range from 19,000 to 11,000. Wages have to be in consonance with productivity.
Yeah.
If for political gains, suppose we just keep pushing up the wages, this is what happens. That a person signs on 20,000, but actually gets 16,000, and you're only ballooning the black market economy.
Are you getting these visuals, DGP Dwivedi?
Yeah.
It's night time right now. These are live visuals. And, flag marches that are being carried out, riot gear with the police, on the loud megaphone, announcements that are being made, and the sit-in protest that still continues. You spoke about instigation. These are visuals from Greater Noida. DGP, the government is talking about anti-social elements. There is possible instigation at play over here as well. And it's going to be a tricky and an uphill task for the police, because how do agencies then distinguish between genuine protesters, genuine voices of concern, and those that are hijacking this movement allegedly?
You see, this is exactly the problem. That if it escalates leaps and bounds and there's fire and arson and so on, obviously no laborer would do this kind of a thing on his own or on her own. There has to be an instigation and there has to be some foul play in trying to disturb the normal peace and prosperity of an area for political gains. Now, it's a matter of investigation, and I'm sure the police will investigate and come up with what the real factors were that it ballooned. We say, after all, there had already been meetings between representatives of labor, the police commissioner, the Noida authority, district magistrate, in which all these things were said. That people should pay in time. Overtime, if it's given, it should be double as per the act. It should be always in consonance with the act.
Yeah.
And you see, there's another thing to be seen, that what is the role of the labor department and what is it doing? So that's another area, because see, after all, the poor laborer is very hard pressed in moving the government machinery.
Yeah.
It's much easier for the industrialist to stonewall the government machinery. For obvious reasons, you understand what I don't want to stress on the.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So that again is an extremely important matter, and I'm sure this will be investigated and inquired into, and very heavy action taken for lapses by the concerned department. We see it's a low-profile department. After all, the brunt is borne by the district magistrate, the police commissioner, and the police and
A lot of fire on the district magistrate as well. And, I don't want to make this about, the district magistrate of Noida, but we do need to touch upon it a little bit. DGP, stay on with me. I'm going to come back to you. Let me bring in Advocate Chadda, who's a labor law expert with us on the broadcast here. Workers say that they're earning 10 to 12,000 rupees, whilst Haryana workers earn 35% more. This wage disparity, is it legally justified, Advocate? What kind of a policy gap is in play? Just because the state borders, are they earning less? Help the lay viewer understand this. If labor laws were properly enforced, would this protest have turned violent at all? I tried to paint two pictures, the law and order picture and of course the picture of voices of dissent finally pushing back. What side are you on? What do you think is more justified here?
Kabir, first of all, why this disparity? The answer is that the labor laws in our country are part of concurrent list, meaning thereby central government, state government, all are empowered to make their own laws. That is one thing. Now, every state has its own basic minimum wage, and every state, like Uttar Pradesh, has its own four type of minimum wage: semi-skilled, skilled, non-skilled. So that's how primarily in all the places, all the states. So we have over 35 type of wages in this country. Every state has a different, and thereafter another difference is added: urban area and rural area. So that's how the basic minimum wage is defined, number one. Number two, now what had happened? Haryana, which was paying much less than what UP is paying today, they have increased by 35%. It is not 19,000, I'm sorry, it is 19,000 for the skilled labor, which was earlier getting approximately 13,000. And in Uttar Pradesh, it is already, they are getting 13,000. Now, you have to understand, in these 13, 14, 15,000, do you expect a family to run? Where the education will be given, where the clothing will be done, where they will stay, what is happening? The major root cause for the today's violence is, I feel, the shortage of gas. 5,000 rupees per cylinder these guys are buying. Per kg, 800 rupees they are buying this gas. So all this has... But then Advocate Chadda, what about no overtime pay? What about no weekly offs? What about delayed salaries? My tailor could not cough up the next suit for me, and he said this is because of LPG and gas issue. I think we're adding too many complaints to the issue of the LPG crunch. What about no overtime pay? What about no weekly offs? Are those not clear violations of the labor laws, sir? I mean, I'm trying to understand. Absolutely. You are very correct. You are right that if overtime is not given, it's a violation. If what you call the weekly holiday is not given, it is a violation.
Yeah.
So on and so forth, all violations are there. But what is happening? This ill-equipped Department of Labor, which has already very less number of people, labor enforcement officers are very limited, and all of them are these days busy in elections, which is a ritual in this country. These are the first people from the government. आप अभी phone कर लीजिए. You call up today, the LEO and the Commissioner of Labor of Noida. Somebody will be sitting in Kerala, somebody will be sitting in West Bengal. So they are very prone to all these, whatever administrative work is there, census, they will be taken. You name the...
So clear-cut lapse of bureaucracy at play. There's a clear-cut lapse.
Absolutely. It is a administration failure.
Also an administration failure. Let's use the the prefix also, because I think there are a lot of factors at play, just like DGP was talking about. DGP, I'm going to come back to you, Advocate Chadda. DGP, police said that they used minimal force. Workers, they've alleged that they were being provoked. Who's right or wrong? Because a right balance has to be created between restraint, between control. This is a volatile situation. And also, sir, whilst you're answering that, do touch upon the aspect that they spread from NCR, from Haryana to Noida and then Faridabad. These kind of movements, what makes these movements so contagious across these regions?
Okay, now, regarding the use of force,
yeah,
the law says, and the police should do it. They are remiss if they don't do it, and invariably they don't do it. The whole issue is addressed with a very, with a soft hand and a kind heart. Ordinarily, if you find a mob which is unruly, they should be challenged, asked to disperse immediately. If they don't, then whatever is the minimum force necessary, it should be used to disperse them. It could be lathi charge. If it doesn't work, then even firing should be used. But it's not used that way. So, and in fact, situations escalate because of this. Secondly, there's another aspect to it. There's a small intelligence failure and a failure on the part of administration and even the senior officers to understand the mood of how things are going. I mean, if there was a conspiracy to instigate violence, then why was it not found out earlier? I mean,
fair enough. They could have tackled it in a different way. Is that what you're saying? Right?
Yeah, and be prepared in that. You see, how do you control law and order? You don't control law and order when already 5,000 people are there. You control law and order when people start collecting there. You have 20 people, 30 people, you round them up, take them away. And that's how you control a crowd. You see, once the crowd is there, you let them accumulate. Then this kind of situation is bound to happen. Why?
Yeah.
Because the rumors taking place, wo maar diya gaya, usko aisa ho gaya.
Fair enough.
So, so there's definitely it could have been addressed in a better fashion. But this configuration all of a sudden, I don't, and by labor, you see, labor basically, they're keen to just do their work, earn. They're not interested in writing like this. So there has to be some kind of an instigation, which was outside labor force, I think, which pushed things in this fashion.
So you're saying that there was some sort of instigation that was actually at play, but then once the amount of people that had gathered there, the intelligence sort of let the police cops on the ground down, and the playbook should have been a little different given the amount of people, on the ground. Fair enough. Before we wrap this discussion up, Advocate Chadda, I spoke about contractual employment. A lot of these contractual employments ends up becoming, a lot of problem. Does that make it easier for these companies to bypass those labor protections? These are contractual employees, so many of them, and that's one of those demands that the workers have also set out.
I afraid not, because Contract Labor Act is there. There is a specific law made by the government only. And in compliance of that law, the contract labor is provided. And mind it, very important is, I tell you, is this, that wherever there is a violation of labor laws by the contract employer, in addition to the contract labor, the principal employer is also liable. So the law is very strict in place, but the enforcement of law is, which is, I feel, very, very difficult and causing problem here. Because if the existing law is enforced in its true spirit, I don't find these things are problematic, because the existing law says that the contract labor will be getting the similar kind of, almost everything same as a normal employee. So where is the flaw? Where is the problem? So contract employees are not creating any problem. The law is established and very well settled.
It's the enforcement of the law is the problem. The enforcement of the law is the problem. So what I've understood is that there is instigation, but the intelligence let the cops down. The playbook should have been a little different given the dark Monday that we saw today, at least in Noida, and that this is a concurrent list and the bureaucracy might just be sleeping on this one just a little bit. Things can come into control. So even as we're getting some of those visuals of the megaphones being used, there's some sort of dialogue that's now being initiated. Violence clearly cannot be justified, gentlemen, but neither can silence in the face of this kind of exploitation if it is going on. It's really sad. And can this crisis now be resolved through dialogue before the anger spreads further? That's the moot point, and let's hope that good sense prevails, because this has already spread to the nearby metropolitan vicinity. Many thanks, DGP, for taking out the time. Advocate Chadda, always a pleasure to have you with us here on News 9. We're going to slip into a quick commercial breather here. That's all the time we have for you in this edition of In Your Interest. We're going to catch you again tomorrow. Many thanks for watching.
Street.
When you're hot, we'll cool you down on Cool Street. On Cool Street. On Cool Street. Ooh, I'm on cool. Chill your dill. I'm on cool. Chill your dill.
I'm on cool. Chill your dill.
Amid a fragile ceasefire, stakeholders take on the tough questions.
Was Israel surprised by the asymmetric warfare which Iran started conducting?
Yes, I think it was kind of surprised the level of savagery.
Why has Iran stopped the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz?
So we have to defend ourselves.
Like never before, on point with Kartikeya Sharma, decoding Hormuz, Kharg and the ceasefire.
What is the future of peace in West Asia?
I hope that they got their lesson.
That are supposed to give a chance. We stay ready in case it doesn't work.
Every war has a political objective.
The voices that matter, only on News 9. This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as it should be.
Now, in a shocking incident in Delhi, a serving Indian Army brigadier and his son, an IIT graduate, were reportedly assaulted by a